Hi everybody, so this is another short video. This one is walking along the Riverside line, and I'll eventually come to Gainers Terrace where the Ship in the Hole pub used to be and the dock used to be. So I'm just going to show you that is Swan's Bank from the old railway bridge, not bridge, what I'm currently standing on, and the other side is where Swans used to be, but of course it's recently been all demolished, so there's nothing there to really see. And it's quite strange actually, because when you're walking further along you can actually see across to the other side of the river, which previously you weren't able to do because there used to be a lot of buildings there that were originally part of Swan Hunters. So as you come down this is actually, as I say, the old Riverside line, but of course it's now mostly a cycle path. It actually runs along the side of what is now Segedunum Museum, and of course it runs alongside what used to be where Leslie Gardens and Leslie Street and Jones Street and Davis Street and all of those used to be. So they used to be there, but of course they're not there anymore. Now you've got the museum celebrating the Roman history of Wallsend. So as I said before, when you come down here you can now see right across the river at this part, which you didn't used to be able to see because there used to be buildings here. You can see some of the remains of Swan Hunters, but there's not really a lot left to see. And this is part of the Roman wall which ran down to the river's edge, and that is one bit that you can see as it crosses the path. It's really nothing much to see there, but if you look down the bank here you can see the remains of it going to the wall, which was the wall for Swan Hunters. Obviously there was an end part which was on the other side, which was discovered during the building of the sheds. I don't actually know what they're called for when they were building the Mauritania, so that was discovered in around about 1906. Obviously a lot of the Roman ruins were dug up long before that, but this part was only found when they were building the sheds. Is that what they call them? Yeah. So that was to build the Mauritania, so that was when they were discovered. I don't know whether the plaque's still there on the other side, and I'm not climbing over that fence because that barbed wire looks a bit scary. So I'll carry on walking along here now. Like I say, this is just the Riverside line, so there's not really a lot to see as you're walking along. You can see parts of Segedunum Museum, because as you get along here you will be able to see the replica of the bathhouse. You can't really see anything else because it's too low down, because obviously there's a bit of a bank there, as you can see, so you can't see into any other parts of the museum itself. But just in front of you there, the big white building, that is the replica of the bathhouse, the Roman bathhouse. The Roman bathhouse is actually the original, is actually on Gainers Terrace. It was underneath the Ship in the Hole. It was discovered a long time ago, long before the pub was built. It's documented on one of the really old maps, and when the Ship in the Hole was demolished they decided to dig and hope that it was still there, and it was. Another part that you can see into Swans, I'm assuming those metal things, I'm so good, were something to do with Swan Hunters, but I'm absolutely rubbish with anything to do with shipping, so I don't know what they were, but there you go, you can see them anyway. So there, as I say, is the replica of the Roman bathhouse. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit there, but as I say, it's just an old original railway line, which is now a cycle path. You may have noticed a few cyclists passing as I've been doing this, so there isn't a lot to see. So we're coming up to the signpost, which has been photographed many times by many people, and it basically just gives you a few different locations and how many miles it is to those different places. So that would be another cyclist coming, because I just heard a ding.
Thank you.
So you can see the old signpost. I'll just give it it's not an old signpost obviously, but you can see it and some of the different locations that I mentioned on it. So we're now coming down to where the Roman baths, as I say, when the Ship in the Hole was demolished, they decided to dig and see if they could find the original baths, which they did do. So they were quite lucky that their first attempt found what they were looking for. But as I say, it was documented on some really old maps, so they did have a fairly good idea of where it was likely to be. So as you come along here, this would have been where there used to be some steps that you could go down the steps and come down to the Ship in the Hole. And that there is where they were, but you can no longer get down that. It was all filled in and covered in years ago, so you can no longer get down that way. So you have to go down this pathway here, which is quite dark, so hopefully it won't look like we're filming at night. So as you come down here, it's not as dark as it first appeared. As you come down here, you are coming down to Gainers Terrace, which led on to Benton Way and also the Wallsend ferry landing, but none of those can be seen, and of course you can't actually get down that way anymore. It's all owned by somebody, so it's all actually fenced off. So this is where the Ship in the Hole pub used to be. I'm sure a lot of people will remember the pub, but of course it's long since gone. So just go over the fence there and look down, and this is the original real Roman bathhouse, which was underneath the cellar of the pub. So some parts are the original parts, some parts have been filled in and done so that you can see what it used to look like. It's quite interesting to see. I mean, Segedunum Museum is worth a visit if you've never been. So I'm just going to walk along a little bit further. There's again not a lot to see, but as you come along here, this was at one point in time, as I say, Gainers Terrace, so there was once all houses here. And as you come along here, this would have been where the dock pub was, I believe. And then further along, and I'll just walk along to the end and show you what it looks like now. As you get to the end, you would have come to Benton Way, but of course Benton Way and Gainers Terrace, they've been gone a long time now, and there's nothing really left of any of them to be seen. The only thing that was ever left was the Ship in the Hole pub, which was there for a lot longer than everything else. But now that that's gone, there is no sign down here anymore of the fact that it was once its own little community. So coming to the end of this path, and this would have been where you would have seen the dry dock just in front of you, but of course there's nothing to be seen there now either. And this was, as I get a bit closer, it seemed to be a slightly longer path than I thought. This was actually Benton Way. So that is Benton Way, and if you look down there, that would have been your way down to the ferry landing. So I'm just zooming down into the fence, but you probably can't see it very well. And that is really all for this little short video, so I hope you've enjoyed it and thank you for watching.